Welcome back to Luke's Properties YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about risk. When people book calls with me, one of the most common questions people ask me is what are the risks? And it made me start to think, why are people so scared of risk? Every time I've taken a calculated risk, I've either made more money, my business has grown, my net worth has increased, I've learnt a new skill. Every time I've taken a risk, something positive has happened. So in this video, I want to talk about why I think risk is the entrepreneur's edge, and why playing it safe is the riskiest move of all. So firstly, I want to discuss the employee mindset versus the entrepreneur mindset. Now, to build your own rent-to-rent business, you need to have or develop the entrepreneur mindset. Most people who join our rent-to-rent success system, they start with an employee mindset, and as they work their way through the program and they speak to me every week and every day sometimes on WhatsApp, they start to develop and transition into the entrepreneur mindset. And I find that the people that do this transition quicker and smoother tend to succeed a lot quicker than the people who stay stuck in the employee mindset. So let's just briefly discuss how an employee would think. So employees, they seek certainty and a consistent paycheck. An employee mindset would measure risk as what could I lose this month? And they value comfort over the upside. Compared to an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur mindset or view is that they seek opportunity and freedom. Entrepreneurs measure risk as what's the upside versus the downside. An entrepreneur values upside over comfort. So to summarize, employees value certainty, whereas entrepreneurs value freedom. So when people book their first call with me, oftentimes they have this employee mindset, and 50 to 60% of the work once they join my program is helping them shift this employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. Because when you're trying to build a business, you're not optimized for comfort. You're not thinking about what could I lose. You're not seeking certainty or a paycheck. You're seeking opportunity and freedom. You measure risk by looking at the upside versus the downside, rather than only considering the downside. You value the upside over comfort. You're optimized for freedom rather than certainty. So a large portion of the work once people join my program is helping them think as an entrepreneur rather than an employee. So let's talk about calculated risk. Now, the formula for risk is probability of loss times size of loss. The formula for reward is probability of win times size of win. Entrepreneurs shrink the loss and expand the win. So the main difference between entrepreneurs and employees is when you're an entrepreneur, you have unlimited upside. Your wins can be unlimited, whereas in an employee mindset, in the employee world, you're capped at a certain amount of income and you're thinking about what could you lose rather than what could you gain. Now, if I compare this to my story, I put all of my money into my first rent-to-rent business back in 2018. Back then, I only had around £6,000 to my name. Now, a lot of people would consider putting all of your net worth into a business as risky. And everyone said to me at the time, this is a risky move. But after my first 12 months, I had turned that £6,000 in savings into £5,000 a month in profit from taking on 5 rent-to-rent properties. Every few months, I'd save up the profit and then use that money to go and take on another rent-to-rent property. And by the end of the year, I was making £5,000 a month, which works out to be around £60,000 a year. So from an initial £6,000 investment, I got a 10x on that investment in my first year. 2 to 3 years later, I had a 6-figure cash flow in business. So I turned that £6,000 into a multi-6-figure business in 2 to 3 years. Had I listened to the employee mindset that's scared of risk, I may have never made that initial investment in my rent-to-rent business, and I would never have made my first £5,000 a month or built a 6-figure business, all because I took that initial risk. Another example of when taking risk has worked out well for me is in 2020. I had made some profits from my first few years in business, and rather than spend them on myself, I wanted to invest in my own assets by buying houses. Now, at this time, we were going through a pandemic, and whenever I suggested to anyone who had an employee mindset that I was going to start buying houses, they said to me, that's risky. The market will tank and crash. Most people actually said this to me. They said it was a terrible time to invest and that I should keep my money safe and wait for a better time. I ignored all of that advice and bought some houses anyway. 2 years later, those same houses that I bought had increased by 25%. So I bought some houses for around £100,000 to £120,000, and 2 years later, they were all worth 120, 125, 150. And since then, I've used that appreciation to refinance those houses and buy more houses, which now generate me enough passive income that I don't need to work anymore. My assets pay me enough passive income that my living costs are covered by my investments. So had I listened to everyone telling me the market's going to crash and that it's risky to buy property back in 2020, well, I wouldn't be where I am now, able to retire at 36 years old. My third example of when risk has worked out well for me is when I started my property education company back in 2022. Again, many of my peers and friends said this was risky. They said that this whole industry was rife with fake gurus and that by starting another business, I was going to lose focus on my rent-to-rent business and I'm going to be looked at as a fake guru. Many of my friends said starting this company would distract me from my rent-to-rent business. Fast forward to today, in 2025, I've helped hundreds of people replace their income by building a rent-to-rent business, and I've also created another six-figure business. So had I listened to my friends, to my peers, to other people with employee mindsets, I would have never taken this risk and I wouldn't have built another six-figure business. My point here is that winners take calculated risks. There's always going to be risks, but winners take calculated ones. Winners play the long game. They grow, they adapt, and they compound. Whereas losers, they avoid taking any risk. They stay stuck. The famous author Bronnie Ware said that 85% of regret is playing it safe. So 85% of people on their deathbed regret playing it safe. That's quite a high percentage. I don't want to be one of these people. I want to leave everything here. I want to give it a right go. Give life a maximum effort. And at least try to build businesses that I own myself, try to create freedom for myself and my family, try to build wealth, time freedom, location freedom for my family. I don't want to get to my deathbed and feel like this 85% of people riddled with regret because I played it safe. I class myself as a winner, not a loser. So for those of you that struggle with risk and you have the employee mindset, I want you to challenge yourself and stop letting the fear of risk make bad decisions for you. Now, I've removed risk from my rent-to-rent success system. So if you join my program, you get a 180-day deal guarantee. I guarantee to get you your first 1 to 3 rent-to-rent properties within 6 months, or I give you a full refund, I give you £1,000 on top, and I'll coach you for free for another 6 months. So there's no risk of you losing money by paying me without you getting the result. I don't get paid unless you get the result. So there's no risk in working with me. I'm not going to allow you to take on a bad rent-to-rent deal. I'm going to look at the deals with you, go over the numbers with you, and give you my expert opinion. So there's really no risk in working with me. If anything, I'm the one taking the risk, because if for whatever reason things don't work out, I'm the one who doesn't get paid. I've allowed you into my program. I've taught you everything I know. And not only do I have to give you a refund, but I also give you £1,000 on top. And this is included in our terms and conditions that we both sign once you join the program. So if anyone has risk, it's me. So if you're at that stage where you really want to build your rent-to-rent business and you're ready to trade comfort for freedom and transition from an employee into an entrepreneur, then I'll put a link in the video description below. Click the link, book in your free 30-minute clarity call with myself. On that call, we'll work out if we're a good fit for each other and if I could be a good mentor for you. And if things align, then we can work together. If not, then keep watching my YouTube videos, keep learning, keep copying what I'm doing, learn from my success students, and I'm sure you'll get your first rent to rent. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.